Banned from Thanksgiving for being an HVAC tech, she discovered I'm paying her $50K student loans. Sarah gripped the steering wheel of her beat-up truck, heart racing as she parked outside her family's home. The warm glow from the windows mixed with the smell of roasting turkey wafting through the crisp November air. Her son, Ethan, with his innocent awe of all things festive, could hardly contain his excitement for Thanksgiving. But for Sarah, the pressure felt suffocating. Banned from the holiday for pursuing her path as an HVAC technician, she had made peace with the cold shoulders and whispered judgments from her own family. Yet, every gleeful laugh she overheard through the frosted window reminded her of the warmth she desperately craved. This small Midwestern town had never held much love for blue-collar workers, and Sarah felt that bias acutely, especially from her own kin. Lesser, they called her work like fixing heating systems and keeping families cozy wasn't honorable. Each dismissal cracked another layer off her heart, exposing the raw yearning for acceptance that she buried deep beneath her tenacity. As Thanksgiving approached, Ethan's excitement heightened, tugging at Sarah's heartstrings, awakening memories of family gatherings filled with laughter and warmth that now felt like cruel jokes. She remembered the joy of passing dishes and the dim light of candles flickering around the dinner table. With each day, the aching for that sense of family grew unbearable. The turning point came during a maintenance job at the local university. Loosening screws and tightening valves, she overheard a group of students lamenting about their crushing debt, 50,000 loans dragging them down. Intrigued, Sarah stepped closer and struck up a conversation. They spoke of dreams stifled by financial burdens, and her heart raced as she recognized their struggles mirrored her own, except her loans bore the weight of family shame and a whirlwind of emotion. She learned that her estranged uncle, who had always distanced himself from her because of her trade, had been secretly paying off her loans for months. She felt a tumult of gratitude and indignation flood her. How could he put aside his pride to help, yet remain distant when she needed him? Here was kindness shrouded in shame, with his own warped sense of societal judgment painting Sarah as less than worthy. In a rush of determination, Sarah decided it was time to confront her family this Thanksgiving. She'd prove her worth not through what they deemed acceptable but through the resilience and hard work she embodied. But a sudden financial hiccup, a broken-down truck, threatened to crush her spirit. As she sat alone in her living room late one night, the weight of her doubts pressed heavily against her chest, nearly suffocating her. Should she capitulate to a cycle of silent suffering? Yet, as Thanksgiving Day dawned and she stood before the familiar door, the air thick with the enticing aroma of the holiday, she hesitated. All those feelings of exclusion lapped at her mind. Should she knock, confronting the very boundaries that had kept her family apart, or turn back, forever tethered to fear? Ethan's bright eyes sparkled with hope, and for the first time, she felt flickers of courage ignite within her. With a determined hand raised to knock, Sarah's heart thumped loudly. Would this be her moment to reclaim her dignity? Or would the weight of societal expectations pull her back into silence? The answer hung in the air, thick and unexplored, waiting to unfold. The soft thud of Sarah's knuckles against the door felt like a drumbeat echoing in her chest. Each knock reverberated through her mind the memories of rejection, the sting of judgment, and the hope still clinging to life like frost on bare branches. She blinked back the tears that threatened to spill over as the door creaked open. Her mother stood there, eyebrows raised in surprise, her expression pinched in a way that spoke of wariness. "Sarah," she began, the word hanging in the air like a sword poised to drop. "Mom, can we talk?" The words spilled out before she could second-guess herself. The urgency in her voice caught her mother off guard. A flicker of uncertainty crossed her face, but then without a word, she stepped aside, allowing Sarah and Ethan to cross the threshold. The familiar warmth of the home wrapped around her, but it felt different now, charged with memories and a heavy tension that buzzed in the air. Ethan darted off to find his cousins, leaving Sarah alone in the living room, where family photos lined the walls, depicting a happiness that often felt out of reach. Her parents were seated at the old wooden dining table, a centerpiece of meticulously arranged flowers standing proudly amidst an array of dishes. Her heart raced as her father looked up. "You decided to come after all," he said, his tone devoid of enthusiasm. "Yeah, I did," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "I wanted to talk about everything." And just like that, the atmosphere shifted. Her mother's expression hardened, almost defensively. "There's nothing to discuss. You made your choice." "Did I?" Or did you all make a choice for me? The words were out before she could stop them. Searing regret washed over her, but she pressed on. I've worked hard at what I love. Being an HVAC tech is not something to be ashamed of. Her father's gaze bore into her, his disappointment palpable. This isn't what we wanted for you. We had dreams for you, Sarah. Dreams that didn't include me, it seems, she said, the bitterness rising. I've been out here trying to build a life while you've all been judging me. From across the room she caught a glimpse of Ethan, laughing with his cousins, unaware of the storm brewing. The sight stabbed at her heart, pulling her into a place of gratitude and resolve. The love she felt for him was a reminder of everything at stake. But as she continued to speak, laying bare her wounds and aspirations, her mother's hardened demeanor began to crack. You've always been so stubborn about this. The words came out trembling, softer than before. Stubborn? I just want to be seen as worthy, Sarah said, her voice breaking. Your judgments have been suffocating. I refuse to let them define me anymore. I'm more than a technician. Don't you see? The silence that followed was thick, charged with mixed emotions. Her father exchanged glances with her mother, and Sarah's heart raced. Would they finally understand? The acceptance she longed for felt so close, yet still so far away. Suddenly Ethan burst back into the room. Mom, can we eat? I'm starving. His innocent enthusiasm cut through the heavy silence. Sarah knelt to his level, taking his little hands in hers. Ethan, I want you to know that whatever you choose to do in life, whether it's fixing HVAC systems or anything else, you're going to be amazing just like you are right now. Her words hung in the air, hopeful yet shaky as her family looked on. Uncertainty flickered in their eyes, the beginning of understanding perhaps? Just as she started to feel a flicker of hope, the doorbell rang. The sound jolted the family from their moment of reflection. What now? Her mother muttered, turning towards the door. Sarah swallowed hard, the tension rebuilding rapidly within her. Is it the same old judgments? Or is this the moment everything changes? With bated breath they all moved toward the door, the prospect of a new revelation imminent. Who would arrive just as the atmosphere shifted in such profound ways? As her mother opened the door, the cold air rushed in, carrying with it a sense of anticipation. Sarah held her breath, every ounce of her being focused on the unexpected visitor. Standing there was Aunt Linda, wrapped in a long chunky knit scarf. Her face was flushed from the cold, and her eyes sparkled with a mix of excitement and concern. I hope I'm not interrupting, she exclaimed, brushing snow from her boots before stepping inside. I just had to stop by before dinner. The atmosphere shifted yet again, the weight of the previous conversation suspended in the air like a candle flickering in a gentle breeze. Sarah felt relief mixed with the trepidation that had been building throughout the day. Aunt Linda had always been her champion, the one who believed in her potential, an ally among the critics. Sarah, she called, spotting her niece. With open arms, she enveloped Sarah in a warm hug that momentarily melted away the tension. I've missed you. How's work going? It's been challenging, Sarah replied, glancing at her parents. The unspoken words felt like stones balancing on the edge of a cliff, ready to fall. Aunt Linda pulled back slightly, searching Sarah's eyes. Challenging how? You look overwhelmed, darling. Before Sarah could respond, her mom chimed in, with a hint of irritation in her voice. It's just that Sarah has made some life choices we don't quite agree with. Mom, please, Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper, feeling the familiar burn of frustration rise in her chest. She wanted to reclaim this moment, to have Aunt Linda as her voice of reason, but before she could gather her thoughts, Aunt Linda spoke, her tone serious. Hold on a second. Let us not go down that road just yet. What have you been doing that you feel you need to defend? The room fell silent, the weight of Aunt Linda's question hanging heavily in the air. It was a simple inquiry, yet it felt like a lifeline being thrown into turbulent waters. Sarah took a deep breath, preparing to let her heart surface. I've been working hard as an HVAC technician, she said, the words tumbling out with newfound confidence. I love it. It's what I want to do. But I feel like I'm not living up to what you all envisioned for me. Aunt Linda frowned in concern. Oh honey, do you really think it's about what we envision? You need to build your own dreams, don't worry about ours. Her mother shifted uncomfortably, but Sarah didn't take her eyes off Aunt Linda. Hope flickered. Maybe she wouldn't have to battle alone. The palpable tension danced around them, but before Sarah could dive deeper into her feelings, Aunt Linda's phone buzzed in her pocket. She glanced at the screen and her brow furrowed. "Just a second, I need to take this." As Aunt Linda stepped into the hallway, Sarah turned to her parents. "Can't you try to see?" Suddenly, a loud laugh echoed from the hallway. It was Ethan tugging Aunt Linda back in, his eyes wide with excitement. "Aunt Linda, you have to hear what I just learned in school." Following Ethan, Aunt Linda clutched the phone with furrowed brows. "That was your cousin, Sarah. They just told me about an opportunity." Her words trailed off, and the fragile silence returned as she glanced between Sarah and her parents. "What opportunity?" Sarah asked, pulse quickening. Aunt Linda hovered for a moment, weighing her words carefully. "It's about your loans, Sarah. You may not have to repay them all." Her heart raced. Could it be true? For so long, she had been afraid of the weight those loans carried. Would this be the lifeline she needed? Before she could digest this revelation, Aunt Linda continued, "Their SA fund for techs in your field, a grant that can help pay off that debt." Hope surged in Sarah's chest, but her mother's skeptical expression pulled her back. "What are you saying, Linda?" "Just that their SA way to lighten the load." "But Sarah, you need to be prepared to fully embrace." "Embrace what?" Sarah asked, urgency apparent. Aunt Linda hesitated, her eyes darting between mother and daughter. "The truth. The truth that your work is meaningful. Important. But sometimes it means challenging family expectations." The walls seemed to close in around Sarah. Could she be brave enough not just to face her parents but also to fully own her choices? The path ahead felt less like a minefield and more like an unexplored trail, one filled with potential. Just then the doorbell rang again, and the sound broke through their moment. The energy in the room shifted once more. "Who is it this time?" Sarah muttered, anxiety creeping back. Aunt Linda gave a faint smile. "Let us see, shall we? Maybe it's a sign." Sarah's heart raced, weighing the possibilities. It could either deepen the rift or finally bridge the gap. What new chapter would unfold behind that door? As the door swung open, the familiar sound of laughter and chatter filled the room. Sarah squinted past the sudden brightness, and as her heart sank, she recognized the figures stepping into the house. Her older sister, Jessica, along with her seemingly perfect family husband, 2 kids, and that smile that always made Sarah feel like she was living in a less vibrant world. "Surprise!" Jessica exclaimed, placing her hands on her hips triumphantly. The kids, beaming with innocent joy, darted past Sarah like a couple of fireflies, giggling as they raced for the living room toys. That sense of warmth from Aunt Linda instantly faded, replaced by the chill of comparison. Sarah felt her stomach twist. She had been hoping for a quiet moment to breathe with her family, not a showdown of lives lived right. Her mother's voice rose a notch. "Jessica, you weren't supposed to come until dinner." There was a hint of irritation, but also an unmistakable excitement that made Sarah feel small, almost invisible. "Oh, come on, Mom," Jessica replied, feigning innocence. "I couldn't resist dropping by to see my little sister and her big news." She threw a playful glance at Sarah. "What are you up to these days? Still playing handyman, I see." Aunt Linda stepped forward, shielding Sarah like a protective barrier. "Actually, Jess, Sarah's doing something really important and amazing with her career. She's been working hard as an HVAC technician," and her voice faded, likely sensing the storm brewing in the room. Sarah could see the judging looks washing over Jessica's face like a tide, curiosity and disbelief battling for dominance. "HVAC technician?" Jessica echoed, raising an eyebrow. "Since when did you decide that was a thing? I thought you had dreams of something bigger?" Sarah clenched her fists, the bite of those words sharper than ice. "It is a thing, Jess. It's not inferior just because I'm not sitting in an office or sitting on a stage singing." Silence thickened around them, as if the air itself were paying attention. The laughter from the kids dimmed, caught in the tension that had erupted. "Well, I didn't mean to offend, Sarah," Jessica replied, her tone now defensive. I thought we were all aiming for the same things, nice, Jess." "Just the support I need," Sarah snapped, her voice cracking slightly, betraying her simmering frustration. She hadn't meant to explode, especially not with Aunt Linda watching, yet the pressure felt unbearable. "I'll be in the kitchen," Aunt Linda said swiftly, brushing past them, sensing the growing conflict. Sarah wanted to reach out for her, to pull her back, to say she needed her voice now more than ever, but her throat felt tight, her voice lost in the whirlwind of unspoken expectations. Suddenly, the kids were tugging at Jessica, trying to distract her, and Sarah seized the moment to dart off into the hallway, needing to distance herself from the suffocating conversation and veiled judgment. As she leaned against the cool wall, her breath coming in ragged gulps, she couldn't shake off the feeling of inadequacy. Did she really miss the mark? What if Jessica was right? Could she really turn this HVAC thing into something meaningful, or was she just kidding herself? Aunt Linda's voice filtered back from the kitchen, a soft, soothing melody amidst the chaos. You guys, instead of worrying about the past, let us focus on what's right in front of us. Sarah has a future, don't lose sight of that. Her heart ached with the need for affirmation, for someone to tell her she was enough, that she was right to carve her own path. But what if Jessica outlined her doubts for everyone to hear tonight? What if her family punished her dreams instead of celebrating them? The doorbell rang again, jarring her from her thoughts, but this time she didn't have the energy to care who it was. Was she ready for more? More judgment or more unexpected possibilities? With a sigh, she stepped back into the living room, determined to stand her ground. The night felt like a storm, and she was either going to be swept away or learn to ride the waves. As she took a deep breath, the door swung open once more, and this time she recognized the voice saying, "Hey, is this the right place for the union meeting? A meeting about her future?" Sarah felt her pulse quicken. But was she even ready to confront what that future truly looked like? "Yeah, you found it," Sarah replied, trying to mask her surprise and confusion. The voice belonged to a tall man with tousled brown hair, holding a clipboard tightly against his chest. He looked a bit out of place among the family chaos. "Great. I'm Alex, and I'm here to talk about the union meeting for local HVAC technicians," he continued, his enthusiasm a stark contrast to the uncertain atmosphere. Sarah had just departed at a union meeting. The thought struck a chord deep within her. This could be the moment she had been waiting for. Yet apprehension crept back in, wrapping around her heart. She hadn't expected to jump right into a serious discussion about her career, especially not during a family gathering. As Jessica's laughter echoed through the living room, Sarah caught sight of her sister sharing a warm moment with her kids. That image nudged at Sarah's insecurities, pulling her momentarily off balance. Would discussing the union be a mistake? Would it open a door to more judgment, to further doubts from Jessica and the rest of her family? "Are you okay, Sarah?" Alex asked, his brow furrowed with concern. She shook her head slightly, trying to refocus. "Yeah, just a bit overwhelmed. Totally get that. Family gatherings can be chaotic," he said, his smile calming her nerves just a bit. "But this meeting is a big deal. The union's offering great benefits for techs. Health insurance, retirement plans, better pay, all that good stuff." At the mention of better pay, her heart skipped a beat. She had been working long hours, pouring sweat into the job and barely scraping by. The thought of a brighter financial future sparked a flicker of hope. Do you think I could really be part of that?" Sarah asked, her voice wavering slightly. "Of course," he responded, his confidence unshaken. "The union's all about supporting tradespeople. It's a community. We've got each other's backs." She felt the burden on her shoulders lift just a little. As Alex laid out details about the union's mission and benefits, Sarah's thoughts swirled. Attending the meeting would mean standing up for herself and her career. It could even mean taking a stand against those voices inside her head, especially Jessica's. But what if this journey led to a confrontation with Jessica? What if her sister would confront her about not pursuing a real career? The tension rose again, coiling tightly in her chest. Just as quickly, the thought of finally moving forward gently uncoiled it. "Can I take a flyer or something?" she asked, her voice steadier now. "Absolutely," Alex said, pulling a stack from his clipboard and handing one to her. "Join us and let us change the narrative around HVAC together." As Sarah took the flyer, she felt a spark of determination ignite. Maybe this was the validation she had craved, the chance to prove that her work mattered. "Thanks, Alex," she said earnestly. I think I'll go." The room felt deafening again as the noise of family laughter wrapped around her, but a little voice inside urged her to push through, to make her path evident. Seeking a moment of quiet clarity, she turned to sneak away to a less crowded corner. But before she could escape fully, Jessica's voice rang out. "Hey Sarah, where are you going?" Sarah hesitated. Just a quick breath. She forced a smile, though her gut twisted. Doing okay? Jessica's tone was softer, but uncertainty swam in her eyes. Yes, Sarah said, the fervor of the flyer clutched tightly in her hand. Actually, I might just be okay. But as she shifted on her feet, a new fear crept in. What if she couldn't face the inevitable clash with her sister? Would Jessica's judgment unravel her newfound strength? As Sarah glanced at the doorway, she took a deep breath, ready to step out of the storm and head towards clarity or perhaps confrontation. The evening would unfold in ways she couldn't yet predict. Amidst the noise, she felt the tides shifting inside her. Maybe she was ready to confront her future. But at what cost? What battles would she have to fight? The laughter and chatter faded back into a buzz as she stood at the crossroads of her decision. The flyer seemed heavier now, almost like a weight she was asking to carry. As the family's chatter faded into the background, one question lingered in her mind. Could stepping into this union mean stepping away from family expectations and towards her own? Sarah stood frozen, heart pounding, as Jessica's eyes locked onto hers. The moment felt charged, heavy with unspoken words waiting to tumble out. Why do you look like a deer caught in headlights? Jessica asked, half teasing, half concerned. You can tell me. I thought we were all about keeping it real in this family. It was funny how Jessica used to be the one to encourage her pursuits, and yet now it felt more like an interrogation. Sarah forced a smile, but the tension in her shoulders refused to relax. I was chatting with Alex about an HVAC union meeting, she admitted, the words slipping out before she could stop them. Jessica narrowed her eyes. Really? You're still on about that? The familiar sting of judgment flickered across Sarah's skin. It's more than just fixing air conditioners, Jess. She shot back, surprising herself with the intensity in her voice. It's a career with benefits and stability. Well, if you want to talk about it, Jessica said, her tone laced with skepticism. Fine. But you know Mom and Dad are just going to ask about building your career elsewhere, something better. Frustration welled up inside Sarah. She resisted the temptation to roll her eyes. Family gatherings always seemed to circle back to the idea that anything less than a desk job was somehow unworthy. I'm good at what I do. I work hard, she replied, gripping the flyer tighter. Maybe I don't want to sit behind a desk. Maybe I want to be proud of my work. Shouldn't that count for something? Jessica crossed her arms, her expression softening ever so slightly. Should, but you know how they are. Exactly. That's why this meeting's important for me. To finally have something of my own. Sarah's voice cracked, and a rush of emotion flooded her. Can't you see that? There was a moment of silence, thick and heavy like the dense air before a storm. Jessica's expression shifted, confusion battling concern. I just want you to be happy, Sarah. Then support me, Sarah whispered, the plea breaking her heart just a little. What if I could make enough money to pay those loans? What if I could feel proud of what I do? A flicker of something understanding, maybe crossed Jessica's features. I didn't know you were still worried about the loans. You've got those crazy payments hanging over your head. Dad keeps saying you need a stable job with benefits. Yeah, well, in case you haven't noticed, I am working hard to pay them off, Sarah said, a hint of bitterness creeping in. And it's overwhelming. But if I get into the union, I can finally take a step toward stability. Jessica hesitated, biting her lip, the walls she had built seeming to tremble. What if you get shot down? What if there's no chance? The doubt lingered between them like a fragile bridge. Then I'll try again, Sarah said, her resolve hardening. This is my career, Jess. I'm tired of feeling judged for it. Jessica let out a long breath, her shoulders dropping slightly. Okay, I will support you. Promise. But just as the words left her mouth, Sarah felt the weighty tension return. The evening was still young, but vulnerability now hung heavy in the air. Sarah glanced at the doorway, the flyer still clenched tightly in her grasp, and pondered how far she would go to defend her choices. Just as she opened her mouth to say something more, Alex popped back into the scene, his energy infusing the atmosphere with positivity. So what's the verdict? Ready to join me for the meeting? Sarah looked at Jessica and then back to the man who had sparked this tiny revolution within her. The decision loomed like a shadow, a mirror reflecting the fight between family expectations and personal aspirations. I think I might. Before she could answer, laughter erupted from across the room, momentarily pulling both sisters' attention away. What did I miss? Jessica asked, her tone light, but her eyes held a flicker of worry. Sarah's heart beat faster, her mind racing as her future shimmered just out of reach. The question lingered. How far was she willing to go to embrace a path that was uniquely her own? The next minutes could change everything. Would courage win out over familial expectations? Are you coming or what? Alex's voice cut through the buzz of laughter, pulling Sarah back from thoughts that swirled like storm clouds in her mind. Jessica nudged her, a playful smile returning, as if to lighten the mood. You should go. This is a big deal for you, right? But even as she said it, doubt crept in. What if this meeting was just another disappointment? Each failure chipped away at her confidence, and the fear of family judgment lurked like a shadow looming behind her. I want to go. Sarah's voice wavered, uncertainty twisting its way into her words. Jessica's brow furrowed, and she took a step closer. Okay, but let us be real. You're putting a lot on the line here. Do you really think they'll accept you? The weight of that question pressed against Sarah's chest. It was as if Jessica had stripped away the layers of her bravado. I have to believe they will, she said softly. This is about more than just me. It's about carving out my place. In that moment, she remembered the call from the union last week. The way her heart had raced when they mentioned her application status. They had seen her potential. And for once, she felt a spark of hope catching fire. I'll go with you, Alex chimed in, his enthusiasm a stark contrast to the storm inside her. No backing down now, right? Let us get you in there and show them what you've got. Sarah felt her pulse quicken, excitement mingling with anxiety. Okay, let us do this. But no pressure, all right? None at all, Alex replied, winking. Just your future on the line. No big deal. As they walked toward the door, Sarah caught Jessica's eye. Thanks for supporting me. It means a lot. Jessica nodded, though her expression turned serious. Just remember, it's okay to fail. It's okay to try and not win the first time. Just don't give up on yourself. How could failure be okay when it felt like the world was watching? But Sarah clung to her sister's words as they stepped outside, the cool air striking her face like a splash of cold water. It invigorated her, reminding her that she was taking a leap into the unknown, and that was something to celebrate, even if it felt terrifying. The meeting was held at a community hall, a modest building that exuded familiarity, the kind of place where neighbors gathered for summer barbecues and winter bake sales. As they entered, the chatter of seasoned technicians and hopeful newcomers filled the room. The smell of coffee and donuts drifted in the air, and her stomach twisted with apprehension. See, nothing to worry about, Alex encouraged, nudging her forward. But Sarah hesitated, stepping aside to catch her breath. Her palms were sweaty on the flyer. What if this was just another reminder of how far removed she was from the family's expectations? What if she didn't belong here? You got this, Sarah, Alex whispered, his voice grounding her. Taking a deep breath, she inched closer to the group. And then, something unexpected happened. As she surveyed the sea of confident faces, a woman approached her, radiant in her union jacket. You here for the meeting, kid? The woman asked, her voice warm. Caught off guard, Sarah nodded, her heart racing as the woman beamed down at her. Good. We need more people like you. Ready to make a difference? Those words, simple yet profound, wrapped around her like a warm cloak. Maybe, just maybe, this was the validation she had been searching for. As the meeting began, Sarah felt a flicker of courage igniting her spirit. Here, amongst strangers who shared her ambitions, she didn't feel judged. She felt a part of something bigger. But a question still lingered in the background. If she succeeded here but failed to win her family's approval, what then? As excitement and doubt collided within her, Sarah prepared for the moment that could change everything. Would she find her voice, her passion, and her path forward, or would she retreat back into the shadows of uncertainty? The room buzzed gently as the meeting commenced. Sarah found herself sinking into the moment, the warmth of the union hall wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. She took a seat among a mix of old-timers and fresh faces, all eager for the same thing. A chance to belong, to make a mark in a world that often felt too big and too harsh. As the speakers took the stage, sharing stories of hard-won battles and triumphs, Sarah leaned in closer, hanging on to every word. Each success felt like a ripple of hope, pulling her further into the tide of motivation. Could she do it too? With each tale of resilience, doubt began to melt away, replaced by the flicker of belief. Those who take the risk, a speaker exclaimed, are the ones who create change. The room erupted into applause, the sound echoing against the walls, and Sarah felt her heart swell. But that little voice of fear wasn't gone. It lingered at the edge, whispering doubts about her own capabilities. What if all this was just a dream? What if she didn't fit into this crowd after all? A flicker of movement caught her attention. It was Jessica weaving through the crowd toward her. She hadn't seen her sister for a few minutes and felt a wave of relief wash over her. Jessica had come to lend support even in the background. This is awesome, Jessica whispered, excitement in her eyes. Look at all these people coming together for something they believe in. You belong here. Just then the focus shifted back to the stage, where the woman from earlier began speaking again. Tonight we're not just gathering. We're making history. We're welcoming new members. Each of you has the strength to elevate this community even more. Cheers erupted and Sarah's pulse raced again. She thought of her family's skepticism, their dismissive remarks about her choices. But she wouldn't allow that to stop her. Maybe she'd finally soak in some of this undeniable energy. The meeting started to transition into smaller discussions, workshops focused on various aspects of the industry. Sarah found herself gravitating toward a group discussing mentorship opportunities. A tall, older gentleman with a kind smile waved her over. Hey there. We need fresh voices in this group. What's your name? He asked, his warmth disarming her tension. Sarah, she replied, stepping forward, heart pounding in her chest. I've just started in HVAC, and I'm looking for guidance. Perfect. We love newcomers. He smiled broadly, pulling her into conversation as the group shared experiences. Sarah felt that familiar sense of pride bubble up. She was not just talking about herself. She was in a space where her hopes and struggles were understood. They spoke of challenges she knew all too well, and every laugh felt like a celebration. Every nod of understanding reinforcing her place. But amidst the newfound camaraderie, Sarah's heart beat heavier at the thought of her family's rejection. Would they see this as merely a phase, a distractive venture? Sarah, the man said, bringing her back to the moment. Do you want to be part of this mentorship program? Her eyes widened as the possibility sank in. Yes, absolutely. It felt like a door swinging open, a chance to step deeper into a world she desperately longed to be a part of. With a newfound sense of determination, she thought about how this could change things not just for herself but also for her family's perception. But uncertainty lingered. Was this enough to prove herself? Could her success here outweigh the doubts from home? As Sarah left the meeting with Alex and Jessica, she felt buoyed by their support. Yet the real pressure started to seep in. Would she truly be able to show her family that being a technician, this new path she was forging, was indeed where she belonged? And then a chilling realization struck her. This was just the first step of many in a long journey. What would happen if she truly made a name for herself in an industry her family deemed beneath them? Just as they neared the exit, Alex turned to her, excitement dancing in his eyes. You ready to take on the world, Sarah? As her heart raced, she realized she had to find the courage not just to pursue this career, but to stand firm against her family's doubt. Would she find the strength to do both? The answer loomed before her as they stepped out into the night, leaving Sarah questioning everything she thought she knew about acceptance and pride. Would she dare to believe in herself enough to confront the ties that bound her? The streetlights flickered above as they stepped out into the cool evening air. A chorus of laughter floated from nearby cafes and bars, but for Sarah, it felt like a world away. Her soul buzzed with newfound energy, yet her mind spun in circles, battling against an undertow of fear and uncertainty. Did you see the way everyone looked at you? Jessica grinned, nudging Sarah playfully. You owned that room. I was just there, Sarah replied, trying to downplay the moment that was still so fresh in her mind. But it felt good, right? I mean, it felt real. Oh, come on, Alex chimed in. This is a big step. You have a mentorship lined up and that's huge. Just think of all the connections you could make. His excitement was contagious. Yet a heaviness lingered in Sarah's heart. It wasn't just about the opportunity before her. It was the weight of her family's disapproval that coiled tightly around her like a vine. They'd spent years nurturing different dreams for her, ones that never included working with her hands or climbing ladders. Could she truly reshape their expectations? I just keep wondering what they'll say, she admitted, the corners of her mouth twitching. What if they laugh? Dismiss me completely? Let them, Jessica exclaimed, her voice vibrant with conviction. You're not doing this for them. This is your life, your choice. And if they can't support you well, that's on them. She placed a reassuring hand on Sarah's shoulder, grounding her. I know. But it's hard to shake that fear, Sarah said, feeling anxiety knot in her stomach. She was tired of being torn between her passion and the expectations of her family. They continued walking, the rhythm of their footsteps matching Sarah's racing heart. As they turned the corner, a familiar coffee shop came into view. Without thinking, Alex suggested, "Let us grab a warm drink. Celebrate a little." Now you're talking, Jessica chirped, her eyes lighting up at the thought. We should toast to new beginnings. As they settled into a booth, the warmth and coziness wrapped around Sarah. She felt comfort seep into her bones. For a moment, the world outside faded into the background, replaced by laughter and the simple joy of being with her loved ones. What's at the top of your list? Alex suddenly asked, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. What do you want to do next now that you're on this path? Sarah paused, considering her answer. She could say she wanted to become the best HVAC technician, perhaps even start her own business one day. But deeper than that, she yearned for validation. I want to show my family that this isn't just a phase. That I can do something great with my life, even if it's not what they want for me. Jessica nodded, a knowing look in her eyes. That's powerful. But don't forget, it's also about what you want for yourself. This is your journey, Sarah. It's time you start living for you. As warmth flowed through her, something clicked into place. Each step forward felt like shedding the skin of who her family thought she should be and discovering the person she truly wanted to become. The group fell into a comfortable silence, sipping their drinks, each lost in their own thoughts. It was quiet, aside from the distant buzz of conversation around them. But then, from the corner of her eye, Sarah caught a glimpse of her reflection in the glass. The determination in her own eyes was a stark contrast to the soft vulnerability she felt inside. It was a reminder of who she was becoming. As the night wound down, Sarah felt lighter. She was ready to embrace what lay ahead. But there was still the looming question of her family's acceptance. Would they ever come around? Or would she be forced to choose between her dreams and their approval? Just as they were about to leave, a new thought crossed her mind. What if I invite them to see me at my first day on the job? She blurted out, excitement bubbling up again. The idea hung in the air, full of potential and weight. Would she have the courage to extend that olive branch? And if she did, would it open the possibility of acceptance, or would it deepen the rift between them? The uncertainty tingled in her fingers. Sarah knew she was at a crossroads. Would she step into her truth and face her family? Or would she shrink back into the shadows of doubt? The answer awaited her like a star repeating her name in the dark, encouraging and bright. Sarah stood by the front door, the cool November air swirling around her as she prepared for the moment she'd been both looking forward to and dreading. Today was the day her family would see her in action as an HVAC technician. She held the invitation with trembling fingers, a bold step toward bridging the divide that had fractured so many family gatherings. Mom, Dad, we're here. Ethan's excited voice broke her from her thoughts. He and Jessica had just pulled into the driveway, and the sound of laughter echoed through the crisp air. Quelling her nerves, Sarah opened the door wider. The familiar warm light spilled out, illuminating the gathering of her family inside. This was it, a chance to finally show them that she was more than their perception of a blue-collar worker. As she stepped inside, the aroma of the holiday dinner wrapped around her, familiar and reassuring, but she felt a gurgling doubt rising in her stomach. Would they see her passion? Or would the old judgments cling to her like dust? Ethan dashed over to his cousins, laughter filling the air as Sarah moved toward the living room. She found her parents, perched on the edge of the couch, looking at her with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Hey, can I have everyone's attention for a second? Sarah's voice rose above the chatter, her heart pounding as she prepared to share her news. Her family paused, faces turning toward her, and she felt their collective gaze weighing on her. I invited you all to my first job, she continued, finding strength in her resolve. I want you to see what I do and why it means so much to me. Her father's brows knitted together. while her mother's expression dropped slightly. You really think we want to watch you crawl under a sink or climb on a rooftop? He asked, an edge of disbelief in his tone. No, Sarah replied, the thrill of challenge fueling her desire to convince them. It's not just about fixing things. It's about helping families stay comfortable. I love what I do. I want you to witness the pride I feel in my work. A moment of silence hung in the air, thick with unspoken words. Sarah felt the bright flutter of hope retreat as doubt began to creep in. Would they dismiss her once more? But Jessica stepped forward, arms crossed defiantly. Mom, Dad, this is a huge step for Sarah. You should support her. Don't you want to see what she has accomplished? Their mother's shoulders sagged as she looked between her daughters, the weight of expectation settling into her bones. Maybe we can go just to support the family, she murmured, barely meeting Sarah's gaze. Relief washed over Sarah like a warm wave. She hadn't expected this open door, but perhaps a crack was enough to allow light in. Thanks, Mom. It means a lot to me. As the evening wore on, laughter mingled with delicious smells. Sarah felt lighter. Each mention of her job met with a glimmer of curiosity from her family. They asked questions about her work, and she answered with fervor, excitement sparking in her chest. After dinner, which buzzed with warmth and familiarity, Aunt Linda turned to Sarah with a proud smile. You are carving a path that reflects who you truly are, Sarah. I see the passion, embrace it. Show the world what you can achieve. Emboldened by her aunt's words, Sarah gathered her family. I'm stepping into the union program next week. They're offering mentorship and opportunities for growth. I want you all to be there to witness me grow. As she spoke, the room hung on her words, anticipation sparkling in the air. Her mother looked thoughtful while her father's gaze softened, though uncertainty still lingered. We want to support you, honey, he finally said, his tone more gentle. That night, as she lay in bed with Ethan's soft laughter drifting down the hall, Sarah felt an exhilarating mix of fear and hope. Tomorrow was another day, one filled with potential and possibilities. She could shape her future, and perhaps, just perhaps, her family might come to understand and appreciate the journey she was on. She fell asleep that night with a smile on her face, heart full of dreams that now felt just within reach. This journey to reconnect with her family while honoring herself would not be without challenges. Yet for the first time, Sarah felt certain. She was ready to step forward, to show not only her family but herself, that her choices mattered and that she had carved out her own space in this vast world. Life was unfolding in a way she couldn't have imagined. The path was still ahead, but it felt brighter than before. With dreams wrapped around her like a warm embrace, Sarah knew there was no looking back. And as she prepared for the day that awaited her, she recalled the name her heart had whispered all along. Courage. It was time to welcome it like an old friend. Before the adventure began, there was one last thing to do. She had to share this story. Sarah felt the urgency to spread her newfound light, to inspire others like her. So, if you believe in taking chances, in chasing dreams, and embracing the paths we create, then subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this journey of transformation. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share your thoughts on courage and following your passion. And for the love of all things inspiring, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. You need to spread the energy of following dreams. Don't wait not even one more second to share.